Here's a story of a man named Brady who was living with 5 Super Bowls of his own. And he's been playing for so long. He's going to be playing against the Jets today. And he should have a good game. That's the end of that story. Here's a story of Life Peer, which has come out on Poloniex. And on the day one, when this came out, I put a buy order in for the 10 handle. And I let it go. I left it. And back in here, I was thinking about it. You know, I still got that buy order. Yeah, whatever. And then yesterday morning, I was thinking, oh, I got that buy order. I got to take it out. Unfortunately, I forgot. Or fortunately, single hour time frame. It came down to this one handle. Right in here, would it be? Nope. It was this low. Well, this low was even, it was lower than 100, so I almost would have hit here. But it hit right in here yesterday. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't think I really wanted to get into this. So what did I do? I looked at the order book and noticed that there was a big buy wall around this 110 number. And I thought, well, I'll just stick in the 109 number. But it didn't execute until this period here. So I got out with a 10% gain. And I was just fooling around with that play. Had I bought it at, say, 85 or 90, I probably would have used the exact same order. But it worked. All trades bets of the like, of course, within each his own risk and reward. And I know I got one subscriber who likes Cardano, or as I mentioned it before, you know, it's looking pretty good here today on the daily term. As we can see how I was making that nice play, but in here there's your resistance that established after breaking this level, supporting that level, now leaving the 18 pretty close to this high. It was back in here before, getting up here. I don't know what the resistance would be like, but it looks as if that's in store, and maybe it'll come back and find support in here, but it's got a nice little setup right now as I'm looking at it. And let's give the status of the chart for the coin status. Within the daily term, just hanging in there within this rising 18, spending most of its time between the close and the highs. It's gotten above it for the second time in the last 3 days. On the 4-hour term, though, this is what gets really, really interesting, hence the reason why I'm showing this chart, especially for ticker symbol SNT. SNL was pretty good, though, back in the 80s and 90s. That's totally off the subject. Resistance here, support here, and it barely pierces above matching high, and we're doing all this after it congested in this area previous, a few days before. I like how this 18 average is rising like this. It has stayed away over the last few periods from the 18 average of lows. So now we're basically looking at 3 periods just hanging in there on very small volatility. Sellers are not coming in. We can see just that little bit of a green spike. It does seem as if this one looks ready to go for a possible good gain, and thus what we would be doing in this chart on the daily is working on stage number 4, band 1 flatten out, band 2, stage 2 establish, stage 3 correctionary mode at the band, which is still that current phase, working on stage 4, which is the early part, attempting to break out of the 18, thus getting above that. Stage 4 would be breaking resistance somewhere in the area of around 5.5. And next up is Horizon, H-O-R-I-Z-E-N, and the ticker symbol Z-E-N. Okay, I'm trading this not against Bitcoin, but against Litecoin, but either way, it's fun to do. Okay, so what do we see here? Okay, stage 1 band flatten out, which was here. Stage 2 resistance, stage 3 where we're at now. I like when you see this move in here on this day. It had that spike below, but obviously rebounded quick back to the area of the 18 average of highs. Green candle now, but when we shorten out this time frame, it really paints an interesting picture. A little bit more on the 4-hour. This little red move here we can see is a result of a big washout sale in here that regained itself really quickly back to support this key area of resistance. And now it's managed to have a move to the 18 highs, but in a single hour time frame. Well, it's just telling me right now It's ready for the break. There's the high volume coming in within it. So having follow through from this point on would not be that much of a surprise. We can see on the 15-minute that this just happened recently. A little bit of selling. Now, this little move here, I haven't seen it on the one, but I'm going to want to take a look to see just how big of a sale. Was this just one person selling it down, or was this a big sell down and reversal? Probably one person, but I'll get to that in a bit. So as this goes, looking pretty good on the 1 minute term. There was a rally, a little bit of selling, but look at the volume on this red candle down. Well, that's because during this 1 minute, the market, or 2 minutes rather, the market rallies 1461 to the 15 handle. That means all the bids north of this 1461 can only have been added during the time this was rallying. So this sell-off were people that put the buy orders in the 20, 30, 50, even 100 seconds before, but not 500 seconds or 200 seconds before. And therefore, that's why if you get them in quick, you can sometimes get these deeper moves because it's a thin order book for a short period of time. Then, of course, we have this green candle up. And same thing again on the way up, that all of the sell orders that would have been in place would have been thin. Now, it does it on heavy volume. Now we got the sideways movement, so the order books on both the bid and the ask would fill up more, meaning all the buy orders at 1480, 70, 60 are going to fill up higher, which is important because if there's sellers with big amount of coins looking to sell, at some points they might be waiting for people to put big buy orders in so they can actually sell. And if that happens and they don't sell, that means that's not what they're looking to do. Thus, that big red candle down or filling this empty space doesn't happen. And as we're watching this live, I'm watching this live and you're watching this back when it was moving back in the day. This is now broken out a level of resistance. So I say you got to be fast in your play because it breaks resistance. Well, technically speaking, this is where you'd kind of go long, I would think. Again, I've mentioned I'm not playing that style of game, but this thing does seem like it's raring to go right now for a monstrous gain. And now that this is happening, let's go back and see that selling earlier, which event it was. And yeah, this is just one person selling big. So you got the big volume and one person sold it down like 7-8%, everything they could, or the amount that they wanted to, and they were able to fill all the bids down to the low 1300s. So after that happens, now you got bids from like nothing. The second he or she or they are finished selling their funds, there are no bids from that 13-14 handle down to the up to the 1460-ish. So therefore, they got to fill up, and that's why you have the instant spot where the next candle after that was an open at 1457, which meant someone would have bought in there. And then, of course, it would have sold down. And then as this time went on, all of these buy orders would start to refill by the more shorter term traders. Next up will be Golem, ticker symbol GNT, and downtrend, yeah. But as far as my trading strategy is concerned, I don't mind buying down here, selling up here, buying back down here. To me, that's just part of the game. As the chart is showing me here amongst the daily, the band has been flat for a while. Yesterday's session, it had a break above in here, which now is back to down in here. So we take a look at this on the 4-hour. This is an interesting situation as I'm looking at this, because you got this resistance back to the 18 in here, having this little bit of on two different periods, attempting to break higher, because it did it on this one. It obviously came back near or to the 18 highs, and then it came back again, sold off. So twice it managed to rally and sell off. Right now it's finding this higher low to here, and it's fighting in there within the battle, the bulls and bears, that if this thing gets going further, I see in the next 1 or 2 periods that this thing is breaking higher while holding in this point, then the chances and the probability of these things, of these markets having a significant size move is pretty good. So Overall, within this, when you're looking at it as it plays, if it fails in this area, then I'm looking for this to come back to the support area where it came from next, and that's in the mid to low 1700 handle. But getting above there, this thing, if it succeeds and is able to maintain and hold and stay above a little while for 1850, or even just breaking out, there's potential for some decent sized gains within this market, especially considering that this was something that before traded at well over almost 30,000 or 27,000, now at 1800. That's a 12x or 13ish kind of move. There is most likely going to be a time where it has a half-assed poor rally, which might be just from like a 2x or 2.5, 3,900, a poor rally, 7,600, an okay rally, maybe around 13, 14,000, a very good, or a good one rather, not very, a good one or a very decent one, previous high area 23, 24, and then of course very good or amazing is a good break above previous high. Now, the question is, when will it do it, or where will it do it from, and when? Right now, it's at around the 17, 1800 that it comes from. I mean, technically speaking, this could fall to 200, and then have a nice rally up to 14 or 1500. So there's so many ways that it can play out still. Next, a quick look at THC on Bittrex, as I've added a few codes back onto that site, this being one of them. And I'm going to quickly go over the daily chart after this bottom in here. Resistance established and support held, obviously enough to make this 18 average go flat. Retested this previous area, but what it's done in here, one, it went a little higher. Two, it has maintained its entire run back at this area of resistance. Thus, the 18 starting to rise, finding support within this area, showing a good setup. It looks more poised that it could have a break higher, and seeing it get above, then there is definitely, again, even more chances of such. And this thing has been beaten down so much, has been at a high level. So I talked before about what would be a half-ass rally, okay, below satisfactory, all that kind of stuff. Well, last time this price point was actually lower than where it was before its rally in late 2017, like 100 and so, 200, basically 200 and change, Satoshi. And then what does it rally up to? 5,000. So potential for some of these coins, especially the lower volume, less traded ones, they're the ones that are going to have the bigger X moves up and down. LSK is next, and you look at the story in here, okay, so you have sideways move, that's easy to tell. Declining, bear market run. Sideways consolidation. Breakout, establishing resistance, and then this correctionary move. And for the last good week and change, it's been just hanging in there. We can see volatility from here compared to here is increasing. And whenever it's ready to get poised to go, watch out. Now I say, oh, wait for this thing to have a nice break above something. It could be ready to go. Well, that happened on this day. It had a clear break above this. At one point, that looked like a very good green candle during that point. Ready to bear and go, oh, it looked like it was going to break above. Well, that play isn't over yet. It hasn't lost. It's in the battle still, bulls versus bears. And the bears haven't won, but they have managed to have the price lower from this high, but it's holding this uptrend, still having great battle amongst this 18 average of highs. And it just seems, or I know mathematically, it's poised to have a much higher probability chance to be able to have an event where it can just get from this downtrend, have a good move, like 57, 67, any type of big green candle here, or on the daily chart, just have a significant leg higher, even 46 or something in that area. In 4 hour, it's just having this choppy back and forth, very neutral action amongst its last move. And next chart will be Ethereum Classic, ETC, which is doing well right now. After all, you had this sideways move, and we can see in here you have this level here. You hold for a while, show strength amongst this area. Nothing much going down there, meaning empty space from the lower end of the 18. Nice little consolidation here, and then great breakout, correctionary move. So it's had that little bit of selling. Now you've had 3 days amongst small volatility, having the price go higher. Looking at just those 3 days, we can see we got some short-term level of resistance that it's at right now. So by shortening the time frame out, we can get more to the bottom of that situation. Within that, we can see big resistance, because there's the move. We got this level of resistance, but even a bigger one in here than this one. All these little levels, but for now, this is where the 18 average has come into play. It has obviously resisted it, has not attempted to break it, but it hasn't attempted to break anything on the support side either, as these higher lows are just that. And if you look at the status of higher lows and matching highs, and that's an ascending triangle, well, it's poised to break it pretty much soon. Something I used to call back in the day, and back in the day is when I first learned trading and made up names, as I learned for myself a lot of times. D-Day, which was I shortened, and this for decision day. I know it's got a different terminology, but that's just what I happen to use. And that is in a situation where it's a crunch time, like a higher low matching level, and there's just no space left. And it's time to decide how are you going to handle it. Oftentimes these type of neutral decisions will resolve themselves within the current trend. So I would look at it, it's more likely that this thing is poised with maybe some green candles moving forward today into tomorrow, doing it, grinding its way higher, big green candle up, something of the like on a bullish scenario that will get this above resistance and have at least another leg higher. Okay, I'm done for this video, so thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great week coming up. Happy New Year, which is not, I'll be talking more about the New Year's both tomorrow and the next day. Bye-bye.